Once you get this information, you'll be able to put on these X-ray goggles, and every conflict you look at from now on, you'll kind of see through the surface to what's really going on, what's really animating the conflict. And you can tell it's a position if it's a demand or maybe a begrudging offer. So these are positions that people are taking. They're saying, I'll give you this, but I want that. You have to stop doing that. You have to start doing this. So think back to our demonstration that you just saw a moment ago. What were some of the positions that either party was taking? My position was? And her position was? No, we're not going to put up a fire alarm. Okay. So this is about interest. And the question here is, let's talk about the concept of interest, and then we'll operationalize it a bit. So interests are the needs and desires that underlie the positions that people are taking in the conflict. So this is like the engine that drives the surface level conflict. So it looks like it's about dogs or people coming over late at night knocking on the door. It looks like it's about money or office space or noise in the office. It looks like it's those things, but when we put on our X-ray goggles, we find that there's actually something deeper and more impactful that the person really cares about. It's that engine that's driving the concern that they have and why they take such fierce positions, why people get so upset and angry and frustrated about these things is not because of a dog. It's because of what the dog represents. It's what the dog impacts. I'm going to show you a dollar bill, and I need an assistant to confirm that this is in fact a dollar bill. Will you, Katie, will you just confirm for me that's in fact an actual dollar bill? Okay. You must have you worked in retail? Right, you see him do it. But you still had this like gut level, strong emotional reaction to it. So my question to you all is, why? Why did you care? It couldn't have been about that piece of paper. It's wrinkly, it's smelly, 100 people have touched it already, thousands maybe. So why did we care? I want to take you back to the situation with my wife and the fire alarm. So I realized, oh, wait a minute, I do this for a living. I should probably try to do a little mediation thing here and do some good conflict resolution. So I asked her a question that conflict resolvers ask in the face of conflict. And that question is, what do you think it is? I asked her, why? Why do you want Look at that. You all already have your PhDs in conflict resolution. Yeah, I asked her why. Honey bunny. No, she didn't realize that. Anyway, and I just don't want another gadget in our house. You know, we're starting to get too many gadgets. And I'm like, oh, so it's aesthetics. Okay, that's our interest, right? But what's my interest? And that's obvious, right? Safety, right? So let me ask you a question. Is my interest in safety a valid interest? All right. Is her interest in aesthetics and the house looking nice? Is that a valid interest? All right. And therein lies one of the great powers of interest. At the surface, we can appear to be diametrically opposed with each other. Fire alarm, no fire alarm. Fire alarm, no fire alarm. If we delve down into it deeper, though, we find that there's two interests, both of which are valid. All right. I'm glad you all like that owl so much. So, oh, yeah. Okay, don't give me any ideas, though, Joe. I might come back in here with a rooster next week. Sometimes somebody might think, well, revenge is an interest, right? I mean, that's my underlying interest is revenge. But is that really an interest? What's the interest behind revenge? She just said it. Justice, yeah. So at some point, I finally, once again, I do this for a living. Landon, what was so important to you about getting that toy? He said, Dad, get ready for the tear-jerking moment, folks. Dad, we had such a wonderful day. I wanted something to remember it by. So what do you think Dad did? Cried. Turn around, yeah. No! No, I did not turn around. I had an interest. My interest was in not accumulating more stuff and destroying the planet and wasting money, right? His interest is remembering a good day. So conflict resolvers, what is the resolution here? How do you translate those interests into an outcome that's going to be good for both sides? Folks, I deal with some of the worst conflicts that organizations produce, and I have very rarely had them look each other in the eye and say, I don't care about your need for security. I don't care about your need for respect. Ouch. Like that, even in these terrible, very complicated cases where people have been fighting for years, they don't go that deep because they don't actually feel that way. They actually do say nice things about the other person's interests. I know I'm interrupting you, I'm doing it on purpose. I just wanted you to start thinking about that, but now I want to switch gears on you a little bit. I'm going to ask you to not talk about this, but rather ask the person whose conflict it is questions that elicit these interests. Okay? So I actually want you to do it in real time. Now I'm going to give you the advanced 400 level listening skill. To do this, though, I need somebody to come up here and physically attack me. Come on, I know half of you have been wanting to attack me for the last 2 days. So, so here we are. We're having a great time learning all about conflict resolution and concepts of interests and positions, and everything's going great, when all of a sudden a rogue trainee jumps out of her chair and attacks the trainer. Action. Oh my goodness. Hi-ya! Hoo-ah! Okay. Yay! That was beautiful. Nicely done, nicely done. What happened there and what happens in conflict generally? All right, when somebody has a concern about what the other side is doing, do they say what they want, what they would like, what they would prefer? No, that was your cue to nod your head no, right? No, what do they do instead? They talk about what they don't like, they don't want to have happen, what the other person is doing wrong. They critique, criticize, and attack, all right? Was what happens in mediation and conflict resolution situations all the time. Parties have their fist out and they're flying at the other side, okay? And the fists are flying back and forth. Now I had several options there. What were some of the options I had to deal with the attack? So I can fight back, right? I can take her fist and my fist and we're going to go at it and see who's left standing afterwards. So you can fight, counterattack. That's one option. What is another option I had? I'll give you a clue. Okay, yeah. I can, flight. I can just split. I can get out of there. I can freeze. I can just be not know what to do. All right, so those are a couple options. But guess what? I didn't do any of those things, did I? So what did I do instead? Redirected is the key word, all right? So I took her energy and I shoved it off in a different direction. So in other words, rather than just attacking back or a counter punch or ignoring it, we take the energy that's being cast at the other side and we figure out what that is about. In other words, and here's the punchline, we try to ascertain and then make explicit what the interest is behind the attack. All right, before we go further, I just want to say we are laser focused on the skill of reframing. As we do conflict resolution work, we are going to be empathizing and summarizing and doing all those other skills we talked about yesterday. So those are still all in play here, but with a laser focus on the skill of reframing, all we're trying to do is try to extract the interest embedded in the negative statement and then give that back to the party so that they can use that interest and we can shift the conversation over to interest rather than staying stuck at positions. So what would be a positional response to this if you're the mediator? Okay? We want to take it and, just as I did with Joy there, kind of take the energy and nudge it off in a more constructive direction. What's the interest embedded in this person's statement? Hint, hint, you still have your cheat sheet there on page 27. Ah, control. Okay. So is control an interest? Right? It's on the list. Privacy. Perfect. All right, good. And how about how he gets any work done? What does that signal to us? Productivity. The reframe on this might be, it sounds like your privacy and being productive are both important to you. Is that right? Now you see in that moment, the mediator, the good conflict resolver, has just transmorgified, to use the technical term, transmorgified the binary yes and no to this idea of privacy. Now we're going to talk about privacy and productivity. And I assure you that that is a much vaster and more productive place to go than just staying stuck on whether Juan is a jerk or not.